Last, but not least, certainly not least, John. There's 24 clubs. I've got to do one of them last, despite some complaints. We're going to talk Birmingham City and the season so far. Welcome along, John. Maybe a new face to the live channel, but you're always on the Patreon and definitely my go-to Birmingham City guy. How you doing?
I'm good. You?
I'm not too bad, yeah. I'm having one of those bad neck days, but people don't want to hear about that when Birmingham have lost 4 in the last 5. We've got a lot of nuance to this conversation here. So let me give my kind of outsider take, and you can tell me how close I got. Obviously, huge pass for Bowyer last season. Brilliant performance to get them up from, I've just looked at the numbers actually, one place above the relegation zone with Wednesday and Rotherham having games in hand, and then sort of zooming clear. Continued the good work, a few good signings, resurgence of Woods, Chong, return of Deeney, just outside the playoffs, and then this recent bad run. So I suppose you're going to give me an answer in 2 halves about the start of the season so far.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, what was it, pre-Fulham? We were fantastic.
It was one game after the international break, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the Fulham game, even though the scoreline was quite one-sided, it was a good game to watch, and it was a fairly even game. We just got a lesson in clinical finishing that day. The Peterborough game was the one that really kind of stuck. That was the one where we didn't turn up, and that was kind of a sign of things to come, really. And then since then, I say we've been poor. It's hard to say. We haven't been poor. We've created a lot of chances. We've just made stupid errors at the back, which have cost us goals, and we just haven't put away chances. I mean, at the last game, obviously we played Forest, and how we didn't actually score in that game, I don't know. I mean, before they scored their goal, we hit the post. We had, I think, one cleared off the line, and that was kind of just the story of our recent games. I mean, we lost to QPR when Chong had a great chance in the first sort of 15 minutes and really should have scored. And it seems to be in recent form, we don't take our chances and then we get punished. We either make a silly mistake, cost us a goal, and we're not the sort of side that I think can go chasing games. We're not built that way. If we get our noses in front, we're difficult to play against. But if you're a side that sort of come at us and do score first, and yeah, we do seem to struggle well in recent times anyway.
How do you read that discrepancy then between the underlying numbers and then the results are coming out? Because obviously it very much goes one of 2 ways, doesn't it? Either you catch back up and the results then reflect a little bit better what you're seeing with your eyes, or well, we know what the other way is, don't we?
Yeah. I suppose Friday night's team selection will probably tell us how it's not going to go, but will give us an insight into how Bowyer's thinking. He was very vocal, sort of just before the international break after the Forest game, that he would make changes and things would need to be sorted out. So I think most Blues fans will be looking at that lineup coming out on Friday with to see who's not in the side and how he's going to line up. But it'll be interesting to see if he continues with the back 3. I think he probably will, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think most Blues fans were probably surprised at the start of the season when we started with this back 3. Charlton fans will probably correct me, but I don't think he ever played a back 3 at Charlton, did he?
Well, he would sometimes move Bielik, but it's all right when you've got that luxury play. He would sometimes move him back and forth, and it would go to a back 3. But that was very much predicated on having a very good player that could move in between.
I would say sort of the start of the season, you looked at our signings and you looked at the players we brought in, the players we already had. I think most Blues fans probably would have thought he'll go with a back 4 and then almost play his 4 diamond that he used to play at Charlton, then 2 up front. And of course, you would say we brought in Chong, and you've got Ivan Sanchez, who was probably one of our most creative players last season. Unfortunately, he's been injured most of this season. I think actually might be back for Friday. Who knows? And you kind of thought, and he brought in Jordan Graham, who of course did so well in League One last season. So you kind of thought, well, he's brought in a lot of good wide players, creative players, and then we started the season with 3 at the back. And even now, I kind of think if he continues with 3 at the back, how he fits those people into the system, I don't know. Obviously, Chong is the one sort of creative spark in there, but even he's been quiet recently, sadly.
Interesting. Very interesting when it's fitting attacking players in, but chances are being created and then possibly safety in numbers and removing defensive. But sometimes that's what it takes, isn't it? That tweak. Are there or is there a sort of standout player who you would sort of like to big up, so to speak, from this first 11?
The obvious choice is Chong. I think he's probably the popular choice. Ryan Woods has impressed me ever since he walked through the door. He reminds me so much of a player we used to have in Barry Ferguson, that player that used to sit there and control the game. I think, unfortunately, it is key who we have next to him. He has to have Sunich next to him. He needs legs next to him. The one thing I have been a little bit disappointed about is I know Woods is not quick and he's not particularly overly mobile, but I thought he was a bit
Never
more
was
mobile.
John, though, was he?
No. I may be doing him a disservice there, but I think in the games when he's had sort of Gary Gardner next to him, it doesn't seem to work. He does need sort of that Sunich guy who's sort of got an engine from first minute to 90th minute, keeps on going. And I think when he plays alongside Woods, you get the best out of Woods. But yeah, I mean, there's many. I mean, Bella playing left wing back, fantastic. Maxine Collin, gives you 7 out of 10 every week. So yeah, and I have to say, I hold my hands up and eat humble pie. The goalkeeper we got on loan from Wolves,
He's
I
been
saw
good,
him.
yeah.
I saw him in pre-season. I thought, there's no way he's gonna, couldn't catch a cold, and then you just thought, oh no. And to be fair, he's been nothing short of fantastic. Even in the games we've lost, we would have lost by a lot more if it wasn't for him. So kudos for him. He's proved quite a lot wrong, and me included.
Interesting. This is probably a bit of a softball, being you've got a 5-0 away win in here, but is there a standout performance so far, John? And this was pre-Deeney returning, wasn't it?
Yeah,
if you are going to go down the Luton road.
Yeah, well, it has to be the Luton game, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, that was just that was mad. Everything we hit that day went in. But yeah, no, it was an all-round performance. But I think what was key is we scored early and we got in front. And I think it was a Mark Roberts header from a corner that put us in front. And yeah, as I said, if we can get in front, I think we're a good side. But yeah, no, that day it was just everything we hit went in. Even Scott Hogan scored twice, didn't he? So you knew you were onto a winner that day. So
just talk to me about these strikers then, because obviously we've very much been pro not Troy Deeney, Lucas Jukovic on the channel. Has just been a very, very, very useful championship player for the longest time. And then there's Hogan, and then there's Deeney, and is it a front two, or is it it always looks better with a front two at Birmingham, doesn't it? What's your take on the sort of striking options?
I mean, Bowyer always plays two up front, always does. And I have to say, he dabbled with the Jukovic Deeney in one game, and it just didn't work. I think he actually, when he brought Deeney on against Fulham, we had Deeney and Jukovic up front towards the end of the Fulham game, and it caused problems. And you kind of thought then, well, maybe actually the pairing might work, but when it started, it hasn't. I still say you need the mobility of Hogan in that front line. I think our biggest failing really these days is, I know Deeney's copped a lot of criticism since he's come in because he's only scored the penalty and hasn't really done much else, and he has missed a few sort of chances where you'd say he should score those, being of his quality. We need to learn to play with him. Whenever we've played Deeney, I always get the feeling we think he's Jukovic, and we just hit sort of huge long balls up to Deeney. And Deeney's not a small guy, but he isn't Jukovic in the air. And you just kind of think, well, he isn't going to win those headers. He's not going to win those flick-ons. He may win some, but he won't win the majority. So, yeah, I think it pains me to say it. I think it's one or the other. You have to start one or the other alongside Hogan, myself.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as you were saying, because there's a distinction between a big striker who goes right up against the centre back and flick on, chest down. Whereas Deeney, I actually remember in a game Watford Stoke I did last year, dropped into 10 and was very good actually at little link up round the corner and playing in faster players ahead of him.
I think it was against Fulham when he came on, where obviously Djukovic was there, so anything in the air he sort of gobbled up. But there was a few occasions we got the ball into Deeney's feet or into his chest, and his interplay with the other players, and
Yeah.
you could see like straight away with Chong and good football players. You thought, yeah, he's a lot better football player than probably people may realise. But especially at this level, he's probably streets ahead of people.
Mhm.
And I just kind of look at it and think, yeah, we need to utilise that more. We need to learn to actually play with him and say, right, you need to get the ball into his feet or into his chest. It's pointless just hitting long balls up to him like he's a Djukovic type of player. He's not. So
That's interesting. I mean, my next question was going to be which player do you think you can see more from that will, in turn then contribute and lift the team? I mean, it doesn't have to be Troy Deeney, but that does seem to be a bit of a conundrum. Is there anyone else, or would you say Deeney is that guy?
we need to get the best out of Deeney. Yeah, I'd like to see some more from Chong. I mean, I think the Luton game was a perfect example. Luton gave Chong the freedom of the park, and he destroyed them.
Mm.
And I think it was against Fulham where Fulham really dealt with Chong very well. And I know Bowyer was quite keen after. I think it was a recent game where he sort of said, team referees have got to protect Chong a bit more. And it has been noticeable that in the last sort of 3-4 games, teams do stick two on him, and as soon as Chong does sort of beat the man, they do take him out. And I just think he needs to learn to be better with the ball. Now he's a marked man, so to speak. So I'd like to see Bowyer get more from him. But yeah, obvious, they need to get more from Deeney, and we need to get more from all the strikers and the defenders. The defenders need to just cut out silly errors. Go back to what they were like at the Sheffield United game where they were immense that first game of the
Yeah.
season. They just need to do the simple things and not make the stupid errors. Easier said than done.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Chong, it's almost a sense of obviously you want someone to come in completely hot, but he set the bar so high
Mm,
on the TV, first game of the season. Who I was the same. Oh, who's that?
mm,
And he's really good. And yeah, people got wise to that very, very, very quickly. And it's John. It's
yeah.
finding someone else to, and maybe it is a little shift, and Bella can come further forward. Finding someone else to occupy, so you can't have two guys marking.
Yeah, I think in recent times we've been too easy to sort of snuff out. Chong, I never forget. We played Preston at home, and very even game, and it was not a great game to watch. But Preston basically took it in turns to just hack him down every time he had the ball, and you just thought, well, other than Chong and obviously Bella, we didn't really have any other attacking threat in the sense of creativity, and you just thought, yeah, and then it just sort of turned into a bit of a hoofball match between both sides, and it was just kind of like, well, there was nothing else, and then it was just a draw in the end. So yeah, we need to be better, and to be fair to Bowyer, he needs to find a way of maybe finding a Sanchez, a Jordan Graham, or somebody else that can add some other, or just try and add another threat so it releases Chong, releases some space. Because I mean, at the moment Chong has two men on him, but they don't need to worry about anyone else, so to speak.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Absolutely. We've been asking everybody higher or lower by Christmas, and I must confess, you'll know the fixtures better than me. But Birmingham in sixth place, in theory, where I perceive Birmingham, this feels like it would be a trough, and we
Mm.
would expect them. I'm not saying back up to seventh where they were after round six, but you would expect them to trend upwards, wouldn't you, into
Mm.
Christmas?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, I was probably guilty as many Birmingham fans at the start of the season. You kind of looked at the you looked at the table and you looked at the teams and you thought, well, yeah, you've got the top three, and yeah, they're away and over the hills, and but anyone else, it's the playoffs is kind of there for anyone who puts a run together, and we were starting well, looking good defensively, scoring some goals, and you thought maybe why not? But no, I think I would definitely like to think we'd be, I wouldn't say a lot higher than where we are, but comfortable mid-table. Um, getting close to the playoffs, and then probably have a dip in form where you just drop off. But yeah, definitely much higher than we are now.
I'm looking at it. West Brom, okay, take that one out. But Huddersfield,
Good game to have that.
Swansea, Borough, Bristol City, Reading, Hull, Coventry are up there.
Mm.
Blackpool. I mean, you mentioned it. I assume you're referring to those big parachute boys. I don't think there's any of them coming up. So I think it could open out a bit, couldn't it?
No, I mean, I have to say, when I looked at the fixtures at the start of the season, I thought, yeah, that could be a bit kinder to us, because obviously we had Bournemouth, Fulham, and obviously we've got West Brom now. And obviously Sheffield United first game of the season, but obviously their form turned out actually.
That was a good time to play them.
Good time to play them, yeah. So no, you kind of looked at it, and like I said, pre-Fulham, you kind of looked at it and thought, wow, we've got some nice amount of points from the fixtures we had, and you thought you could really build on this. And I think most Birmingham fans looked at the Peterborough game. We took a huge away following. You kind of all expectation was there to sort of go and grab a win at Peterborough, really push on. And as most Birmingham fans would say, typical Blues, we just went and sort of beaten ourselves up, really. So but West Brom on Friday, isn't it? So
enjoy that one. Yeah. Can you give me a grade, John? Then an old school GCSE letter grade for the first, it's not quite a quarter, but the first quarter of the season.
C minus, around there. Could be better, could be worse.
Still plenty of room for improvement, though.
As the favourite phrase, it could do much better if they applied themselves better.
Well, obviously, John, I never heard that at school ever. You're gonna have to speak for yourself, there, matey. John, brilliant stuff. If you desire it, where can people find you on Twitter? I know we have a good line on Birmingham stuff between them, but I think you're quite a good follow for Blues, aren't you?
Yeah, just a Twitter handle of Mr. Mez, I think it is, on Twitter. I'm always there spouting utter rubbish about Birmingham. So.
Tremendous stuff. And far be it for me to plug my own Patreon here in a YouTube channel video, but John is very good value, comes on our roundtables. Very good value, and always keen to stand up to those fans of teams who might be a little bit higher up and a little bit more happy with themselves, hey?
Wow. Yeah, Russ is always good for a laugh, isn't he?
Good old Russ. I'll make sure he sees this video. John, thank you so much, and keep up the good work, and good luck to Blues.
Thanks for having me on.